let's talk about Mark II ships. Star Citizen is taking all their ships and they're going to make new versions of them, and then they're going to drop the old ones. Or at least you would think if you looked at the Mark II trailer for the new Super Hornet.
You know,
Blowing my speakers out.
I know that you love it.
Dude, those guys, these NPCs would have sniped them in the head so fast, their aim is ridiculous with these SMGs.
I've been to Rome and Venice, New York, Golf and tennis, but I get lost.
Okay, yeah. So this is the new Super Hornet Mark II. We've seen multiple of these come out. This is like their big sort of feature on it.
Mark II is the Super Hornet Mark I, beefed up to take on all the stylings of the new Mark II Hornet. So the F7A MkII, this is the F7CM MkII, so it's in that family. It's a new generation of Hornets.
It has an extended nose in order to accommodate the second pilot, the co-pilot.
It's got 2 seats, so you've got a co-pilot sitting behind you. So the ship itself is a little bit...
Yeah, you get the idea. So why is this ship being remade? Well, for starters, you might go back in their history and look at their old ships and think, okay, what was the first ship they had? Well, their oldest ship was indeed the Hornet. And you can see that unfortunately, I don't think we have to worry about graphics improving. They know how to update them. First Hornet, obviously it was made for Squadron 42. It was very important for it to be the kind of test bed. They moved on to the Gladius from it, but it is still a pretty crucial ship for them.
On the top, and then of course there's obviously the engine at the back. Most of the ships in the
so lots of eyes on the Hornet back in the early days, and then you kind of start looking at some of their other ships, the Freelancer, some of the Vandal ships.
For me, the sketching part of it is...
And like you can tell. Oh, that's a different design for the Freelancer. So you can tell it doesn't quite look like this anymore. Actually, let's see if they show us what they... Yeah, so they came up with this. It doesn't quite look like this anymore. Like the ship changed, but they didn't actually do a Mark II. They just updated the ships. And basically just anybody who bought the old one got updated to the new one. We can go to some of the other old ships they've done. Like the 300 series. This is what got me into the game. And as you can tell from here, it also doesn't look the same as it does now in game. That's because when they made it, it became outdated. So they went back over it and updated it and made it look like a different ship. They didn't keep this model around and make a Mark II and charge us money for both. They just updated this and gave all of us, like me, the new version when it came out. They've done the same thing for the Cutlass Black, the same thing for the... other ships that I can't call off the top of my head right now. And, what else? Not the Constellation, not yet. Oh, the Avenger Titan. Right. This might have been the first one they did it with, actually. It got a lot bigger. Yeah, the Avenger used to be pretty small. I don't even think it had an interior, guys. Look at this. I'm pretty sure you just climbed into the cockpit. So it's clear that like they haven't just suddenly started updating ships. They've done this before. Ships get old. They need to be updated for the new standards, the new metrics, the new components, all that stuff. It's going to happen to every ship. It's going to happen to Constellation. It's going to happen to the MSR. What's not going to happen, at least I don't believe is going to happen, is they're just going to start making new versions of every ship and sell those alongside the old ones. It's not common practice for CIG, and while maybe they'll do it with a couple others, I don't think we should rely on it. I don't think you should expect any ship that you like to suddenly get some new version you're going to have to buy. Expect the ship you like to get updated and then hope it's an update that you like. If not, sell it. Get something else. We can go back to also the release of the Zeus, which was another Mark II. And just like with the Hornet, it was a Mark II for its own very specific situation, which we're going to go over in a second here. I think they talk about it here.
The RSI Zeus Mark II is a reimagining of the original RSI Zeus. The Zeus was the first mass-made human exploration ship that was capable of doing quantum travel.
Okay, so it was pretty old. It was from way back in the day. The Zeus Mark I doesn't exist in the game. That's the only reason they made a Mark II. If there wasn't a Zeus Mark I, this would have just been the Zeus, and it would have been the same ship. They're not remaking another ship. Is that CitizenCon? Okay. So now we go back to the Hornet. Why is the Hornet so special? It actually goes back to the first video we watched, which is the fact that it is the Squadron 42 ship. This is the one that the whole game kind of hinged around. So they gave it this like really special feel. And they decided that when they made it, they decided that they wanted to do something unique for it, which is why it probably is the only ship that's going to get this very kind of obvious Mark II treatment. Here is a video of Chris Smith, who does a lot of the work on the Hornet, talking about the Hornet F7A in 2016. 9 years. Okay, 8 years before the F7A actually came out. They were talking about what they wanted to do with it. So watch this and just like consider that maybe it was part of a plan and they didn't just randomly whip out the Hornet Mark II.
Hey guys, not too long ago I received the awesome task of creating the new Hornet F7A ship, which will be featured in Squadron 42. I recently got done with the modeling and texturing portion of the ship build, and I would like to show you guys the process on how we created the all-new Hornet F7A. The original Hornet F7A MkII was created by CGBot and it was used in the first pitch video by Chris Roberts. The F7A is going to be featured in Squadron 42, so naturally we were looking to do a complete update for the Hornet.
So that's important because he's specifying that the original ship they showed us isn't the one we're flying, it's the one that was made for Squadron. So they already had that model existing. They made the F7C so that we could use, so they did need to update this model as well.
In the first pitch video by Chris Roberts. The F7A is going to be featured in Squadron 42, so naturally we were looking to do a complete update for the Hornet, since the mesh being used in the game as of now is still essentially the old CGBot model from 4 years ago. The idea here was to keep the original Hornet F7 MkI series in the game, and then add the F7A MkII model completely new from the ground up with our latest techniques and pipeline procedures. Chris thought it would be cool to have the classic Hornet and the new version run side by side, and players would have the opportunity to keep the old MkI as a classic collector's item. We were also going to revisit the MkI one last time with an update on materials and damage systems to have it mesh better with our current assets.
So they actually, I like to say that they shouldn't do this unless they're supporting that other ship that they're making legacy. But he's confirming here that they're just going to update it and then move on and stick with the new ship. I really hope they don't do that. I hope that that is not the way that they treat this. I think that's a pretty pathetic move in regards to the first Hornet. But maybe it'll be like 1.0, it gets its final update or something like that.
While we wanted an updated and new Hornet, We still wanted to keep the essence of the Hornet line of spaceships, rugged and relatively simple, yet very effective. Also, I had the thought that from a distance, one should be able to tell that the ship is a Hornet F7. Essentially, I wanted to update the lines of the MkI Hornet and also bring the mesh up to a higher fidelity and functionality level. We also had a list that we gathered from fans with issues and complaints about the current Hornet ships.
Oh, we've
From
got
that list,
so many
I
of
gathered
those.
the most important problems, and most of them were already on my list as well. I tried to remedy as many issues as I could. The initial blockout went well and quick. I took some
They
inspiration
said they're going to maintain them. Cool. I thought they had. Just wanted to make sure.
from a few of the original concepts from MkII, and also jet fighters like the F-14, F-19, F-22, and so on. I started with the front nose section. I made it slimmer.
Okay. We got most of the, like, this is just a long segment about the Hornet. Here's the old trailer
I hope
about
you
it.
enjoy flying it in Squadron 42.
Not a trailer, just literally a shot of it. But yeah, that is basically where the whole Mark II thing comes from. That's it. And maybe they'll do some others. As Hustle mentioned, they used to kind of theorize the idea that they would release versions of ships like almost like they were like new updated versions. Maybe they'll do that. I haven't seen any reason for them doing that. I think they might do that after 1.0 because it'd just be really hard to do that with a whole bunch of ships beforehand. Maybe they will, as long as they support them. I think that's fine, but in general, I don't think we're gonna see any others, or maybe just like a few rare Mark II ships in the game. This isn't make your wish list of Mark IIs you want to see. That being said, these ships need reworks, baby. God, some of them are so painful to use. Like even the MSR, which feels like it was a new ship not long ago, doesn't even have internal storage. Sad day. Anyways, I hope that explains how this whole Mark II thing came to be, and maybe gives you some more information on it going forward.